What is up, Packers fans, and welcome back to another episode of Packer Report TV. Today, we're going into the film room, a nice callback to the shows I used to do with Perry Goldstein and Jim Mackey and kind of what we started with. But we know we're aware, we're friendly to the people. We know that all of Packer Report TV is simulcast in the podcast space. So we're not going to do a traditional film breakdown where we bring it up here. Plus, we're trying to keep Packer Report TV in that shorter time frame. You know, Andy likes to talk a lot, right? Andy gets to 40, 45, 48 minutes sometimes, and we love Andy, but we're a little bit more digestible than that here on Packer Report TV, and that's okay. Different strokes for different folks, but very excited to announce that this year's film room guest, hopefully in a permanent way, is none other than Acme Packing Company's Dusty Evely. How are you, buddy?
I'm great, brother. How are you? I'm very excited about this. How you been, man?
I've been very, very well. I take a little bit of time, not every show, because I don't want to be super pushy about it. You don't currently, I don't think, have any of their swag on, but you're an Homage guy, are you not?
I am. Yeah. I honestly didn't know if you were going to be wearing it, so I decided not to do that.
Oh,
I've got the exact same hoodie you do, that lightweight one. I'm a big Tigers guy, so I bought a Packers. I bought a Tigers. I got shirts all over the place. Big Homage guy.
yeah,
That
there's stuff.
sweatshirt. That's my new favorite hoodie right there, man.
It's so good. It's so good. This, by the way, free advertising for the Packers Pro Shop. This thing is tremendous.
I was going to mention that. That looks incredible. I had no idea where you got that. I love that thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's I think it's 47. Yeah, it's that. But I just anything with the Heisman over Wisconsin logo I like, but just like this looks like it came out in 1993 and like Mooch wore it while he was explaining something to Brett Favre, and I love it. But check the link in the description, guys, for Homage, because they've got a lot of awesome stuff. Dusty and I, maybe the two top propagandists for lightweight hoodies in these United States.
I was going to say I have too many of them. You can't have too many of them. I'm wearing them daily, man. I can't get enough lightweight hoodies.
But sure. Great hoodies. And then too, if you're, I was touching on this hat, if you're in the nostalgic part, they've partnered with Starter to bring back some really cool stuff. If you're into the starter jackets, or you got kids that, have to go to recess outside, that was always what protected us from the cold when I was growing up, was those starter jackets, specifically the Charlotte Hornets one for many of my friends.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, we will dive now into the film. Here's how it's going to kind of work. I'm going to break down a play. Dusty's going to break down a play. We're going to try and do it in a way, obviously, that works for audio listeners. And then we'll just kind of go over some other performances, concepts, whatever that we noticed when going through the film. So you're going to hear me probably talk more, and I'll talk to Dusty, obviously. Then you're going to hear Dusty probably talk more, and then we'll kind of wrap things up. But I'm taking the lowest hanging fruit here and discussing the Wicks touchdown, because I understand. I think even the broadcast team mentioned, like, the Browns, I don't even know if they played a defensive starter. Like, Ward was not out there. Garrett was not out there. Their dudes were not out there. But I found this play interesting just in general. If you guys want to tag it, you guys want to follow along, if you have a way to watch film, I mean, you can just watch the replay or whatever that's on TV, or excuse me, on YouTube, the broadcast angle replay. But if you are on film, it's quarter one, 13 minutes, 47 seconds left, 3rd and 5. And what I find interesting about this is it's sort of the way you have to match up with the Green Bay Packers, and why I felt like Luke Musgrave was such a special pick, or had the opportunity to be so special. So a lot of times, high school level, college level, pro level, you're matching personnel. Mm-hmm. So Green Bay comes out, I believe that's Josh Jacobs as a tailback. Luke Musgrave, you're tagging as a tight end. So this is tagged as 11 personnel. But when they break the huddle, it's 3-by-1, and it's sort of an inverted 3-by-1 in that Musgrave is actually playing the Z. I mean, he is all the way on the top of the formation, matched up with what appears to be a backup corner. Browns are given a single high look. It ends up being cover one robber, cover one rat, cover one lurk, whatever you may want to call it, meaning that there is a linebacker that's basically staring in the hole at Jordan Love, and there is one deep safety. The problem that the Browns ran into is their nickel went in to cover Jaden Reed, which is a very nickelback thing to do. You should go in and cover Jaden Reed if you are a nickel. But because the corner stepped out on Musgrave, which is honestly a mismatch, but if you walk a linebacker or a safety out there, it's still a mismatch. Safety Ronnie Hickman ends up one-on-one with that was a Freudian slip. Dontavion Wicks, who gives a very Devontae Adams shake at the top of his route. They execute the old smash fade concept to perfection. And, people talked about Dontavion Wicks' speed coming out of school. It doesn't matter against a safety. I mean, you can't allow that to happen. But what was interesting to me is, again, you break the huddle. Okay, 11-11, let's go nickel, meaning, 4 rushers, 2 linebackers, 3 corners, and 2 safeties. Well, who guards Musgrave?
Yeah.
And this is the problem that the Browns ran into on this play.
Yeah, no, and that was, listen, that had a couple different things, right? I mean, that's a concept we've seen from the Packers, from the Rodgers era, from Love 1,000 times. We had the deep ball in there, and that really was. I mean, Love kind of checks that backside concept, but really always knows he's going fade unless that safety screams over. And just that's one of those, like, this is what I want to see, right? You want to see decisive. You want to see that on time and that deep ball. You want to see out in a spot. The other thing I know about that, I know Wicks was kind of set in a little bit. One of the issues the Packers wide receivers had all of last year, I don't think Wicks maybe was a part of this. When those guys get to like that red line, those dudes getting bullied to the sideline. Wicks gave himself plenty of space between there and the sideline as well, and Love had a little more room to throw that ball. And I think he threw that in, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, nice ball by Love and really great route from Wicks on that as well.
Absolutely. So you did not take the low-hanging fruit. You were not breaking down the 65-yard touchdown pass to Dontavion Wicks. You actually wanted to break down the best throw of the day from my boy, Michael Pratt. Walk us through kind of what you saw. If you're watching along, Q4, 14 minutes and 16 seconds, 2nd and 9, if you are watching along here.
Yeah, I mean, this is the back shoulder throw to Hicks, if I'm not mistaken. 23 yards it went for. I mean, this was a little bit of motion, little shift ahead of time. Again, kind of went 3-by-1. Browns in that. I mean, as the Browns are wont to do, kind of a cover 1 single high look and then cover 1 man, more or less. I mean, is what they're doing across the board. And this really was just, I think, Pratt reading this well, making that throw. But I think more than anything, I'm a sucker for a cool concept. And you hear all the time about like how vanilla it is in the preseason. You don't really show anything. And that's true to an extent, I think, a lot, but you are still looking at base concepts. This is a play off one of the Packers base concepts, which is why I really went for it. This is, they go whatever you want to call it, like 2-man stick or Omaha or whatever. They do it off the trip side. They usually have the boundary guy run a go route. And then you have like 2 5-yard out routes, quick outs, and it's a 3-by-1 set. And so the tight end is part of that 5-yard out route. That's what they're showing, except the middle guy, who's Hicks in this instance, gives a little stutter and go. So he starts breaking at that 5-yard. The outside guy shoots like he's going vertically. So for all the world, it looks like 2-man stick with a vertical on the outside to clear that room. At that 5-yard moment, the dude runs a hitch. The outside man runs a hitch. Hicks runs a little stutter and go, so it looks like he's cutting out. He runs vertically up the field. The corner's kind of on top of him, and then Pratt throws a beautiful back shoulder ball to him. So it turns into, from what looks like 2-man stick, 2-man Omaha, whatever, to smash fade with a stutter and go.
Like more smash fade.
Oh my goodness. Like, I watched this and I was like, watching this live, right? You don't get to see all that. And so watching this live was beautiful ball, throws back shoulder, wide receiver goes up and gets it. And then you watch and go, oh, okay, they did something here. You'll see him play with this occasionally. I've seen them run this before, but to see them run this in the preseason, Pratt see that. He's not really looking off the safety, right? He's checking the safety to make sure like he's not screaming over the top. It's single high. You're not covering that fade anyway. But he checks the safety, make sure he goes. I mean, that ball's out of his hand as he's coming out of the stutter, as Hicks is coming out of the stutter there out of the slot. So the beautiful play design and really nice throw from Pratt there as well to kind of throw away from the closing safety and back shoulder to him.
All right, couple other things that I noticed and really enjoyed just was the attacking nature of the defense, and that's not such a grinding out like defensive concepts, but I'm just looking at the percentages, the way they were tagged here, and it totally matches up with the film. They ran 58 snaps on defense. And look, I know it wasn't starters versus starters, but as I kind of talked about in my recap, this was still, to a degree, Jeff Hafley versus Kevin Stefanski. Same as the other side, to a degree, was Matt LaFleur versus Jim Schwartz. Like, those are fun matchups. And Hafley showed us exactly what everybody was expecting to see. Dusty, we had 36.2% cover 1 and 46.6% cover 3. If you add those two percentages together, that's up over 80. Yeah. That is a ton of single high. I mean, just so astronomically different than what we've seen. And you're talking about let's see, 4 total snaps of cover 2 and 0 snaps of quarters. 0 snaps of quarters. Be still my beating heart. Like, and the way they rallied to the football, and honestly too, like Evan Williams, I think, is the key person here, but Javon Bullard as well. The tackling, they went out and signed and drafted tacklers, man. And that's what I really enjoyed as far as like what else I took away from really watching back the whole game.
Yeah, if I have one complaint, and this is selfishly of me, as I went and watched Ola Bullard, Olive Williams last night. Bullard had 2 snaps as a single high. I want to see him more in that role, and maybe they're saving that because I feel like him and McKinney may switch out a little bit there. I want to see more of him as that single high guy. We saw more of Williams than we saw Bullard as a single high, honestly. But what we saw of them was, because I think the closing speed of Bullard is better. What we saw of them was we saw Bullard as the high and like a 2 high look, I think like a Tampa 2 look, almost get a pick, rallying to the ball, jumping around. We also had Evan Williams, like I said, as a tackler, like good routes, good routes to the ball, tremendous tackling, weaving his way through as that single high, weaving his way through blockers to find his way to the ball carrier. Like, both those guys showed out. Like you said, the attacking nature, like 100%. Those 2 guys, if no one else, I mean, I'd say everyone was, but I mean, those 2 guys set the tone from what I saw with some of that, as far as like what we can expect going forward this year. Bullard was down there setting the edge on a run at a certain point, playing box. Like they put some really nice stuff out there, even if, again, I want to see a little more Bullard single high. But yeah, this was, I mean, the defense I thought Hafley was going to come in with, there weren't a whole lot of surprises here in terms of structure of it, which I was a fan of.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Dusty, I think this went really well. We had our reservations about a film breakdown without the actual film, which I totally get, but I thought this was awesome, and thank you so much, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks very much. Let's do it again.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching or listening. If you're on the podcast side, check out the link either in the podcast description or down here in the comments on YouTube for Homage. Do everything you're supposed to do right here at the Pack a Day Podcast YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, click the bell, get the notifications so that you can get every bit of Packers content that you desire on a daily basis. Have a great rest of your day, folks, and go Pack Go.